Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to post this recipe just couple days before Thanksgiving, and it's apple strudel pies with homemade caramel sauce, which is just perfect for a smaller crowd. If you're not planning on making a lot of pies, just make this, because you could portion them out on individual plates, then give them this little sauce dishes filled with caramel sauce, so they could drizzle onto their pies, and it's just a perfect portion and a beautiful, delicious recipe. I will be using 2 packages of a store-bought Puff Pastry Sheets. Those packages contain 490 grams of puff pastry, and they're usually sold in the frozen section. They have tons of recipes on them. You could use them if you want, but we need to take them out of the freezer and leave them on the countertop for about an hour. For apple strudel pie filling, we're gonna need some apples. I'm using 4 medium-sized Granny Smith apples. I have half a cup of golden raisins here, half a cup of pecans. Then we're gonna need a half a cup of brown sugar, or you could use white sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter. You can either use salted or unsalted. We're gonna need a zest from 1 lemon and the juice from 1 lemon. This is optional. We're gonna need maybe a tablespoon of rum and also some apple pie spice, or you could just use cinnamon. And of course, to any recipe, some prep work that needs to be done. I'm gonna first take the zest from 1 lemon using that micro zester, and just gonna place it in a little dish. And to intensify that lemony zesty flavor, I'm gonna add just about a tablespoon of rum, or you could use vodka, or just don't use alcohol at all. And while our lemon is naked, the skin is kind of thinner, so we could roll it on the kitchen table, and it will extract more juice for us when it's a little bit softer flesh. So then we're gonna use that lemon juicer. At first, when I bought it, I didn't know how to use it, so I used the lemon upside down, and one of my subscribers pointed out to me, hey, you're using it wrong. So here you go. We have some lemon juice too. And since I'm using the brown sugar in this recipe, I wanted to show you my sugar bear. What sugar bears are, they're this terracotta made little figurines, and I got the bear that you soak in the water first, and then you place it in your brown sugar container, and it keeps your brown sugar nice and moist. Now we need to peel and core the apples, and of course I have the peeler, the vegetable peeler, which I rarely use. I'm a paring knife girl. I use paring knife for everything, to peel my apples, potatoes, you name it. When I was young, I watched this Iron Chef Japan show, and there was this French chef, Hiroyuki Sakai, who could peel the apple in less than 1 minute and leave the peel all in one string, just like that. So I started practicing, and I think I do a pretty good job. Another gadget, my favorite one, I had to buy it. This is how cute it is. It's an apple core and slicer, and it's a turtle, and it works pretty well. I use it very often, so look at this. It's just perfect. Now we need to slice the apples in the size of either a raisin or the chopped nuts. So all the elements in our pie filling have to be the same size. So I use a paring knife again, just to slice the apple. You could use the cutting board and slice it more precise, but I don't think anybody is going to be examining your apples in your filling. Then we need to splash a little bit of that lemon juice on the first layer, and then continue cutting, slicing the apples, and then layer it with the lemon juice, so they don't turn brown, because the brown apples are not going to look very appetizing in your dessert. In pretty much any pie filling, there's some kind of thickener that used, and I'm gonna make the starch slurry. So I'm gonna use 1 to 1, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, mix it with 1 tablespoon of water, and that's your slurry. Let's make apple filling. To a large skillet, add 2 tablespoons of butter, heat it up, and then we're gonna add our apples. We're not gonna cook them too much, we just wanna cook them so they soften a little bit, but they still keep the shape. So as soon as the apples kind of start to bubble a little bit, add your brown sugar. Once again, I told you you could use the white sugar instead. I think the brown sugar just gives it a little bit more character to the filling and another flavor profile. Then we're gonna add our zest with rum, and that's gonna give it a nice flavor. And then of course we're gonna add maybe 5 shakes of that apple pie spice, so you could just use the cinnamon because your apple pie filling has to have some flavor, some fall flavor. And that's it. I mean, as you could see, the apples have softened up a little bit. And it's time for us to add our slurry. So just mix it a little bit so all the starch that fell onto the bottom of the cup is just mixed back into the water, and then just pour your slurry, cook it for just 30 seconds, and your apple pie filling is ready. We're just gonna transfer it to a small bowl and let it cool completely. And as you can see, all your apples held on to their shape, and the consistency of this filling is just perfect. To bake my strudel pies, I'm going to use a round baking dish 12 across by 2 inches high, which will fit 12 small pies in it, or you could use the cupcake liners and then fit 6 larger pies in that dish, or you could just use any dish you want. Now I'm gonna butter the dish, and I'm gonna layer some parchment paper into it, and the butter is gonna serve here as an adhesive to hold the parchment paper. And just look at this parchment paper, it's a newspaper. I just love things like this. I love things, they make me happy. The pretty things make me happy. So we're just gonna butter this second layer and then just put another sheet of parchment paper, and look how beautiful this is. You can just take this directly to the holiday table, just in that baking dish. And the last thing we have to do is just to chop some pecans. You could use any nuts you want, but to me, a pecan is an official Thanksgiving nut, so I'm just using pecans here. And now we're just gonna chop them roughly, and they are gonna go into our pie assembly. And then take the puff pastry out of the package. It has been thawed out a little bit. So you have 2 sheets here with a tri-fold kind of design, which is perfect because remember my baking dish has a 2-inch rise, and I am gonna do the flap over in my pies of 2 inches. So I need to roll out this puff pastry sheet. So I have three strips of 4 inches wide, and I'm gonna use that cutting tool with the much prettier design part on it, just to slice my sheets here. So here I have a 4-inch strip. And keep in mind that we're gonna fold over this piece of dough, so the filling is gonna go only on one side of that strip. So first we're gonna put our apple pie filling on one side of the strip. Then I'm just gonna place randomly those golden raisins, and then add some chopped nuts to it. And then we're gonna fold it over. Then we're gonna press the dough firmly, so all the filling kind of pressed in, and then from one side we're gonna start rolling it into a roulotte, and with the pretty side of that cutting tool that we used up, and it looks like a rose. And then of course we're gonna place it into our baking dish. Now we understand why I use the round baking dish, because when those are baked they're gonna expand a little bit, so the whole design and that dish is gonna look like roses. Look at this. So we have 12 little pies, and once again you can make them bigger, so you have 6, but they're just the perfect size for one person to enjoy. Then to give them a little bit of a browning, we're gonna sprinkle some sugar, and here they go into the oven, preheated at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes or until they're golden brown. And as they come out of the oven, they look divine. Your apple strudel pies can be served with a store-bought caramel sauce, but we're gonna make our own. You will need 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/3 of a cup of water, 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, and a pinch of salt, because I forgot to buy the salted butter. So in a small saucepan, we're gonna add a cup of sugar, then we're gonna add the water to it, and there is a technique of making your own caramel. So we're gonna mix it at first, then we're gonna mix it again when it heated up, and after it started the boiling process, do not mix it. Just watch this caramel form, and then you can just swirl the pot a little bit, and there's some different colors to your caramel. You can get it as dark as you want or as light as you want. I kind of like it this color. Then we're gonna put the butter inside at room temperature. All your ingredients have to be room temperature, except the heavy cream. This has to be heated up, and now it looks absolutely weird. It's got a lot of bubbles, and it looks like everything just got separated, but not. And then we're gonna add slowly our warm heavy cream to it, and then just use the higher saucepan, because this thing is gonna splash all over the place. We're just gonna mix it rapidly, and then once again, it doesn't look like a caramel until you take it off the stove, and now it looks very liquidy, but don't let it be scare you. We're gonna transfer it to the jar and then put it in refrigerator. And then here is the caramel already thickening up a little bit before it goes into refrigerator, but after it has chilled in refrigerator, and that's gonna look absolutely beautiful and delicious. It's just like a liquid gold. So we're gonna serve these apple strudel pies with warm homemade caramel sauce. And this dessert can be eaten by hand, or I would suggest you using fork and knife for it, because it is kind of messy to eat. So just cut a little piece of the pie and enjoy it. And of course, every Thanksgiving we have to be thankful. I'm thankful to my subscribers to sticking up with me, and I'm thankful for people that just visit my channel, even just for a minute. I'm thankful for your time to letting me introduce myself. And of course, I am thankful to my family to give me the courage, the strength to overcome really hard times in my life. Happy Thanksgiving, and be thankful.